The build has reached his final form, beyond my expectations. I'm theory crafted this build for the new Uber bosses. What's up guys, Pidget here. The character very tanky, safe and has high damage for a damage over time build. This build has no problem with any endgame content. I'm completed my atlas, killed most of the endgame bosses without any issues. Only problem was to learn the new fights, but that's not the build's fault. It's a player issue. I'm very proud on my build. The mapping is so satisfying and really safe. This build doesn't have any problem with the new monster modifiers or even with monsters with 8 essences. For the basic mapping, it's really good. On the defensive side, we have so many things. Firstly, we're using life and energy shield combination, using Grace Aura for evasion rating, so we almost can't die from the monster's basic attacks or projectiles. Because we're using Grace, we can use the Ghost Dance Keystone. When we take a hit, we will recover 3% of our evasion rating as energy shield. This build currently has over 40k evasion rating, so we will recover 1260 energy shield when we take a hit. And we can do this 3 times in a row before the stacks recharge. To benefit from this even more, we're using a specific body armor craft. Maximum life as extra maximum energy shield. Chill and freeze immune thanks to our Ascendancy. I'm really like to not rely on the flask uptime with chill and freeze immunity. My favorite is we have stun immunity because the Ascendancy has built-in immunity if you have energy shield, which we always have. Now, we almost can't be touched by physical attacks. Only danger left for us is the spell damage, but we have a solution for this. We're using spell suppression on gear, which is preventing half of the spell damage when we're taking spell damage. We also take 10% less damage from the enemies with curse on them, because the curse is one of the main damage multiplier for this build, or enemies will always be cursed. Really high chill effect, which will slow down our enemies by 30%. Even the Awakener or any endgame boss will move like a snail, so you can react in time for the upcoming abilities. On the offensive side, this is a damage over time build, so you will not insta-face bosses, but it's really satisfying to see the boss health going down. Because with taking on the tree, the extra curse node, we can use free curse to boost our damage, namely Frostbite, Elemental Weakness and Punishment. If you not used Punishment curse before, this will only start working when the boss below 50% health, and the boss will take increased damage. All of these curses we applying with one single button, and we're using Bane for this. Using a secondary source of damage on left click, Vortex, we're applying chill with this, and it's linked with bone chill support for even more cold damage increase. My first plan was using Frost Bomb for the cold exposure, but instead of this, I'm using a gloves implicit for the exposure, so we don't have to press more button on boss fight, and we didn't have to deal with the delayed Frost Bomb activation. For the sake of the Slayer cool meta, I'm linked cooling strike support to my flame dash, so I can execute the bosses from 10% health, which is really good and helping if you're fighting one of the new Uber bosses. For even more damage, we're using a Boots implicit, drop Scorched Grounds for a few seconds, which will increase the elemental damage the enemy take. First of all, I would like if you hit the like button like the Shaper hitting the Elder, so it can start spread to more people. Thank you! Before we continue, I want to give you a few tips for crafting this gear. Because if you plug in a few pieces of gear on the trade site, maybe you will discover it will be expensive to buy. I used Harvest on every single gear. I just bought the bases for a few chaos and then spammed Reforged on the gear till I got what I want. I took all the Harvest node on the Atlas and almost blocked all the rest of the League mechanics except Expedition. But of course, if you have the money to burn, just buy the gear. All the bases needs to be evasion and energy shield hybrid, because the spell suppression is only rolling on the evasion basis. Energy shield because we need a little bit of extra energy shield for the Ghost Dance Keystone. Now, the really interesting part. I crafted my wand with the new recombinators, and I got maybe one of the best wand in the league. You don't need this level wand to beat the endgame. I just got lucky, and that's why I'm using. Aim on wands, damage over time multiplier, cold damage over time multiplier, spell damage, and +1 to all cold spell skill gems. The following implicits you can craft with the Eldritch currency. Spam till you get the following. On your gloves, you need cold exposure on hit and cold damage overtime multiplier. On your body armor, Grace has increased aura effect, or you can use the Malevolence aura effect increase. It's up to you what you want, more tankiness or more damage. The other mod is the increased aura effect for your non-curse auras. Really good for damage and tankiness. On your helmet, spell damage and increased frostbite curse effectiveness. Sadly, when I was making the build, there was no Wintertide brand enchantment, so I ran a few labs for it, but didn't get any useful, so I give up on this. If you want more damage, you can get Wintertide brand has +4 maximum stage, or you can get Frostbite curse effective enchant. Without this, you can still easily do the endgame, so don't worry about it too much. On your boots, you need drop Scorch Ground while moving. This is the only mandatory to your build on this piece of gear. The other mod is up to you what you want. Few crafts need in this build. On your jewelry, you need minimum frenzy charges craft, which is coming from the betray mechanic when unveiling rings and amulets. You can only have 3 frenzy charges, so don't craft more on your gear. As you can see here, I crafted minus mana cost on this because I anointed minimum frenzy charges on my amulet. You can go without this anointment, but then you need open suffixes, all of your rings and amulet. And then you can't get the minus mana cost craft, which is really good for sustaining your mana. By the way, you only need to use Mana Flask when you're doing no regen maps, but if you don't go there, you will not need it. You can swap out something like Facing Flask or More Damage Flask if you want. On your body armor, you need maximum life as extra maximum energy shield craft, which is coming from the betray mechanic when unveiling body armor from Gravicius, and this varied modes needs to be a prefix. I just want to highlight a few things on the passive tree that you need for the build. We're using 8 passive cluster jewel with Deep Chill, Disorienting Display and Prismatic Hurts notable, 2 medium cluster jewel with Brand Loyalty and Grand Design. The other medium cluster jewel is the same Grand Design and Brand Loyalty notables. On the jewels, your main stats you aim for: life, cold damage overtime multiplier. This is the main things you need in the build. We're taking Occultist as our Ascendancy because this is only Ascendancy in the game that synergizes really well with the Wintertide brand. The notables in order are the following. In your first lab, you take Void Beacon, really good node for the early leveling process. It will increase our damage, and Science 3.18, most of the enemy monsters have high life regen. With this node, we will completely nullify their regen. Second lab, we take Frigid Way. This is what I'm really like in the Ascendancy. You will be freeze and chill immune, so we don't have to rely on the flask uptime. Also giving us more cold damage, and we take less damage from the chilled enemies. Third lab, you take Vibration for stun immunity, and you will regen energy shield if you're killing enemies 10% per second. When you complete the Uber lab, take Malediction as your last Ascendancy. This will give us an extra curse, and we take less damage from the cursed enemies by 10%. Gem and Gemlings, starting with the Wintertide brand. Wintertide brand, Inspiration Support, Elemental Focus, Hypothermia, Control Destruction, and lastly Efficacy. In our boots, our secondary source of damage: Vortex, Bone Chill Support, Control Destruction, and Concentrated Effect. Our curse setup in our gloves: Elemental Weakness, Frostbite, Punishment, and we applying these 3 curses with Bane. In our helmet, our aura setup: Clarity, Malevolence, and Grace. Our move and skill setup: Flame Dash with Arcane Surge, only level 5, don't level up more, and I'm linked Cooling Strike. So when the enemy boss is around 10% health, you just press Flame Dash and you will execute them. Our banner is Defiance banner. It will give us increased armor and evasion rating. Really good banner for us, and using cost when damage taken support with Immortal Core. This is our guard skill. I hope you enjoyed this video about Wintertide brand Occultist. If you have any question, please let me know under the video in the comment section. Thanks for watching. See you next time.